It's been a little bit since I talked to you all, and just been so busy, man. But we're getting almost right at the edge of the end of this year. I am going to be doing another video on this new so-called white lung disease that they're talking about. Not too much on the mainstream level yet because they have an appointed time. But even though we know some people are getting sick, I want you guys to understand now, before I do a more in-depth video on it and covering it, this is, again, it's weaponized and it's by design. They're hyping up that name, but I'm going to touch base on that here pretty soon in the next couple of days. But what I want to talk to you today is about predictive programming and also what's going on in New York. And kind of what's going on in New York, some of these things, is what also is going to lead into what I'll be talking here about in another day or two. But I don't know if you heard of the movie called White Noise. I haven't seen the movie myself, but I know the plot, and pretty much what it was about was a spill of chemicals, train derailment happened in the town of Palestine, Ohio, however you want to say it. And all these chemicals got off, spilled in the water. And lo and behold, 5 to 6 months later, it actually happened in the same town of Palestine, Ohio. Now, if you know anything about a thing called predictive programming, there's a deal where they actually showcase, or they tell you what they're doing without telling you what they're doing, or the other expression, saying the quiet part out loud. So what they're trying to do is show you the angle or direction that they want to go, or here in the next year or sometime down in the future. Have you ever wondered why you, or seen any of those videos, like how did the Simpsons predict 9/11 or predict all these different things like Prince's death, or all the many different things that it showed? Well, one of those guys who was a top producer is a Freemason, and he's very connected, 33rd degree. And, you know, the higher up you go in the Masons and all of this so-called forbidden secret knowledge, you have to swear an oath. Some things you cannot share and talk about, the things that are secret, other words, or otherwise, you know, they can cut your tongue out or death. So there are things that, and agendas that these globalist elitists, such as the World Economic Forum and other groups, they try to have sway, power, and influence over different presidents, politicians, and different world leaders, prime ministers, to allow or ask people, such as, for example, Biden, to surrender the sovereignty of that country to them, which that's another topic in itself. Putting us back under some type of global Paris Accord and climate laws and stuff, things that don't really apply to us, shouldn't apply to us, paying taxes for something that we don't need to even mind for some, you know, globalist agendas. And so you have video games such as the one I'm going to show you that came out in 2018 before this whole thing went live in 2020, and also derived from a plan called Operation Lockstep, founded by the Rockefeller Foundation, about creating some type of virus and using that as a way to grab control, grab power, lock people down, use all these different agendas to therefore say, as that you hear today, some of you may have heard, build back better, as Klaus Schwab mentioned, Justin Trudeau, Joe Biden, all the different world leaders. As I said, COVID is an opportunity to build back better. But take a look at this. This is Spider-Man Part 1 from 2018 is the release date. They were working on this game. Sorry, I got a loud baby in the background, but they were working on this game some time back. Now notice, you see the deal that says in 2018, before all this COVID stuff happened in 2020, it says stay home, right? Stay safe. And there was a newspaper clipping. I couldn't get a picture of that one. It said quarantine. I didn't get to snapshot that. But this is from the game Spider-Man. Here in this scene right here, you have people with masks on. Spider-Man's walking through New York. You have people working on giving different help, medical attention. They're set up different camps. And I believe right there they're working on a vaccine. But at the end of the game, in this game, there was some type of virus that broke loose in New York City. Now notice how in reality, what happened when these cases started happening, they started happening in New York City. And then every day it was a briefing from the White House. There was Governor Cuomo at the time, and they was briefing. He was doing a brief himself, saying how giving a report on how things were going, and it was New York City was kind of like America's ground zero. And so in the game, this takes place in New York. And check this out. Again, here's people walking through the town now, because in the game there was some type of virus that was released on the people through ways of, I'm saying, air, water, or whatever. People are getting sick. People walking around with masks, right? We saw that in New York and other places. Stay home, like that sign said. Stay safe. There's masks. See, they're around in New York, and Spider-Man was walking through, and in the game, as you're walking, you can see these people with masks on. Now here's a part right here where they had detention facilities, and you had people actually being locked up because you had a group, I guess led by Silver Sable and her group, to go in and put people in, I guess, who was a threat maybe to society. And so they were being locked up and detained in these so-called, the baby's so loud, they were a threat, so they put them in these detention camps. So also, what I'm going to show you is a bill that just passed, and they were trying to do this during COVID, but there was a bill that just passed in New York by Governor Kathy Hochul and she took over after Cuomo had left, where she wanted to have the authority to lock up people or take them out of their houses if they felt that their sickness was a threat to society. Now, again, this is being, this is a lot of control and power that they want to just, and this is very unconstitutional. But, it got struck down after it went to court. Then they started crying and griping because they want that power and control. And I know she's being led and directed by her higher ups, the Biden administration and all them, because they have test case states, just like New York was during this thing last time. And so I'll show you that here in just a second. See right here, there is the bridge blocked off. And then if you look in closer, it says have documents ready. This is over the New York, one of the bridges in New York. It says have documents ready. So that's Spider-Man right there. This is at a certain point in the game where he people couldn't even go past, and these groups that are controlled by Silver Sable, they had to have they were controlling it. In other words, remember when COVID was going on in New York, people couldn't even leave, go across, or go between Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, all of them. They couldn't move around without having certain documents. And so they were trying to control the movement of people. Notice they showed this happening in this game that was released in 2018 before it actually played out in 2020. Now, you tell me that ain't an agenda. Here's a Batman game right here called, I guess, Gotham Knights. And so there's a part right here where I guess Batgirl's looking on a computer because, you know, they actually have lockdown protocols. And so for some reason, now look at this right here. It says lockdown protocol on the computer. This is one of the things that was going on in Gotham City. It says lockdown protocol binder. In the event of an emergency, such as a parasite escape, an interdimensional portal malfunction, or Dwarf Star instability, it is a vital importance to adhere to the following instructions. Please use the table of contents to find the right emergency protocol based on the severity of the event and its dimensional origin. Now, look at that. Now, you tell me there ain't propaganda. This isn't predictive programming. They put in these games, and it just goes right over people's head to where they think, oh, you know, but it's nothing at all. But then when you hear this certain language and a certain verbiage or wordplay that they're using, lockdown protocol, lockdowns, okay? We understood there was lockdowns during the time of COVID. Then all of a sudden you say it says in the event of an emergency such as a parasite escape. Well, that means you remember I just told you about the CDC so-called, which played a big part in this scam, finding Chinese labs that was abandoned, and they had all these different viruses and diseases in them. And you do understand that these viruses are weaponized. They could be age specific. They could be grown up, adult, or teenage specific, to where they affect one age, gender, and some even race specific for ethnicities. So, and that's a real thing. But they put this propaganda and all this stuff in these video games to where it just seems like, I mean, just like I told you about the movie White Noise and many others, about what's coming. And so, I mean, I can even get into with Netflix and their involvement with the CIA and others, but that's, you know, we'll say that for another time. But let's talk about New York. It says New York Democrats bill allowing governor to detain individuals dangerous to public health sparks backlash. State Assembly Nick Perry defended bill Assembly Assembly Bill 416, saying it does not violate Americans' constitutional rights. Now, we know, number one, that's a lie. Every time they try to say it doesn't, it does. Every time they say it does, then it doesn't, or vice versa. So let me go here. When you get on certain search engines, they try to weaponize information so you cannot find it. I mean, unless you actually know to go to their websites. Now, when you just type in certain keywords, it won't bring the information up because you have some, like, I guess, Bing, which is owned by Microsoft, which is owned by Bill Gates, or Google. They try to suppress certain information that you can't find. And they try to put forth others like Snopes, which is, they call themselves being fact checkers, and they're not. Just two people kind of like acting like, you know, those at Facebook, verified fact checkers, which what type of authority that they have, but they try to put forth things or people who would validate their side of the story. So you got to be careful when you search for information. A lot of times these search engines now, like Google and them, they'll suppress a lot of information and won't let you see everything, and they only give you what they want you to see, and they bury everything else like 4 to 5 to 6 pages back. Videos like mine will be suppressed because of the information I give you, but Assembly Bill A416 relates to the removal of cases, contacts, and carriers of communicable diseases who are potentially dangerous to the public health. Now, this is what is it? New York State Senate, and that's that website, NewYorkStateSenate.gov. And it shows you the different details, the law section under public health law, and so on and so on. You know, all the other information right here. You can also download it, NewYorkSenate.gov. So now they have this bill in, or deal they're trying to pass, where they are, and I'm going to let you watch the video here, where you in New York, I guess this just recently happened, just last night or yesterday, on the 7th of December, and it may have been on the 6th, and they just announced it on the 7th of December 2023, where you go into a certain part of New York around, I think from certain few blocks to, which is a nice stretch of New York, more in like the downtown area, you have to pay so much money just to be down there. And it's let's just watch the video and you'll see.
For what's coming. All right, speaking of what's coming, New York City out of line. This is Governor Hochul making bad decisions. Who in the world voted for this person?
Anybody sick and tired of gridlock in New York City?
Yeah.
Anybody think we deserve better transit, especially those who live and work here?
Yeah.
Anyone think that people with disabilities deserve to have more accessibility when they travel through this city?
Yes.
Anybody want cleaner air for our kids and for future generations?
Yes.
Well, then you love congestion pricing, right?
Yes.
My friends, this is going to be transformative. We'll have the resources to invest in our system.
This is insane how many people are cheering for this. I mean, this is crazy. Let's take a look at exactly what is going on.
New York City has just become the first place in America to charge its residents for going to work. So New York is now introducing a congestion pricing. They're going to be charging for the amount of cars that are coming through New York, and they're charging insane fees. So this is what they're calling the congestion zone. This is from 60th Street all the way down here past the Brooklyn Bridge, and this is where you're going to get charged for going into this area. More specifically, this is Lower Manhattan, Soho, 60th Street down has the Empire State Building. Anybody that takes a car, a bus, anything into this area is going to get charged just for driving there. And you may think this is just going to be a few pennies or $1, but between the weekday hours of 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. and 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. on the weekends, small trucks are going to get charged $24 just to get into the city. Large trucks, $36. Taxis, $1.25 surcharge per ride, $15 just for your regular car. You guys let me know, does this make you want to visit New York more or less?
Yeah, so I tell you, things are getting kind of crazy in New York. And you see what has been going on there and ever since 2020. So, and it's not getting any better, but that's what happens in a lot of these blue cities. You know, it just goes to crap and up in flames. So I just thought I'd share that with you guys, and I will be having another video coming here. I'm going to deal with this rowdy girl, so I'll talk to you guys later.